Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, Tony Fairchild, and AJ Fairchild producing the back. So thanks again, guys, for joining me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Guys, week 10 is here. This podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about some playoff football and, what possibly needs to happen, what teams are in and what teams are out, and who's maybe on the bubble. So we'll be talking about that a little bit later. So that's always fun. A lot of good and exciting games from last week. So we got a lot of good things to talk about. So I'm excited for this week's podcast, and especially when you're getting close to playoff football.
Yeah, it's playoff time. So it's do or die. I love it that, I when it comes to high school, when it comes to football in general, it's, win or go home. It's not like baseball where you get 3, 4, 5 tries at it, So it's win or go home. And I love it about that.
All right. Well, let's get into some news and notes from the area, just highlighting some top performances and maybe some special accolades here. What we have first is Liberty Center's Casey Moeller achieved his 100th win, and it's only partway through his 9th season. So we had mentioned it last week if they got the win. They did get the win this week, so that's very impressive. Coach Moeller is just racking up the wins. I think, what did we figure? That's a little over 10 a year.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive. Napoleon clinched a share of the NLL Cardinal Division title, which it's been a long, long time since Napoleon, I think, has had any kind of share of anything. I think it's been at least 10 to 15 for a share, and I think they pretty much have won it outright as well, too. And I can't even tell you the last time they won an outright conference title. So congratulations to Napoleon Wildcats. Paulding clinched a share of the GMC title, and if they win this week, then sole possession of that. So we saw them play on Friday night. It's a solid football team. We'll talk a little bit about that game later on. But congratulations to the Panthers. Columbus Grove clinched a share of the NWC title for the 3rd consecutive year and now has 25 consecutive conference wins. So tearing things up. Especially with them starting off with 3 losses on the year. I'm sure there were some doubts around the area of, what Columbus Grove's football team was going to bring to the table this year. But they have not let any of those affect them at all and are playing some of the best football around Northwest Ohio. Columbus Grove wide receiver Trevin Baxter, so you guys got to hear this, set a few records last Friday. Receptions in a game, had 18. Career leader in receptions now at Columbus Grove with 103. And single season leader in receptions with 52, and all these continue to increase with the season as it still goes on. And again, I've continued to mention this kid throughout the season. One of my favorite players. He just does a terrific job. He does all the right things. And here, he's getting the stats and the accolades, but even when he's not getting the football, he's blocking on the perimeter and continues to be physical. Just a great athlete. Montpelier running back Carter Meek tied the school record with 5 rushing touchdowns last Friday versus North Central. And the last point we have is Liberty Center running back Garrison Cruz surpassed 1,000 rushing yards on the season and probably has less than half the carries of anyone else in Northwest Ohio, which is very impressive. So
we were comparing that Friday night. He had 72 fewer carries than the leader in the area.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
So if you guys have anything to comment on any of these.
Oh, no, just Trevin Baxter, just an outstanding performance. And Garrison Cruz, like you just said, he's tearing it up and he's getting – a quarter of the carries that everybody else is getting. So
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, for me, I guess just on the outside looking in, when you see that, I don't think people realize how difficult what Coach Moeller has achieved that record actually is. When you have 100 wins heading into week 10 of your 9th season as a coach, that's just
unbelievable.
I don't even have
and
words to describe that.
This year they're projected to probably go to the state championship, and a lot of people are saying, and we probably think too, they have a really good shot at winning it all. So if that's the case, that's another 6 wins on top of that. So very incredible. But these are all great accomplishments. So continue to send those in each week. All right, let's get into last week's game prediction results. Myself, Logan, finished first with a 17-1 record. Second was a tie between Matthew and AJ with 16-2 records. And fourth was a tie between Tony and Keith with 15-3 records. So pretty good week from everyone. On the year, I finally got Matthew. It took me a little bit, but I caught up to him. So I lead the way with everyone with a 151-23 record, good for 87% on the year. Second is Matthew with a 150-24 record, good for 86% on the year. Third is Keith with a 142-32 record, good for 82% of the year. Fourth is Tony with a 138-36 record, good for 79% on the year. And fifth is AJ with a 136-38 record, good for 78% of the year. This is probably the best year, I think, overall as a group that we've picked. I mean, it's been outrageous. I can't believe it. You know, we have three guys picking above 80%. You know, Matthew and myself are picking 87 and 86%. And I mean, that's basically, you're almost at 9 out of 10 games you're getting correct every single week. So
I guess Matthew probably should have taken Columbus Grove last week.
I know.
Yeah, Matthew, what's going on, bro?
He's heard it from the Grove faithful before that, he tends to pick some of the big games against Grove and it never pays off for him. And
I think Grove would be happy. Just keep picking up everybody else.
That's right.
Matthew.
That's right. So overall, good from everyone. A couple games that got us. The Antwerp-Ayersville game, Ayersville really shocked us. We didn't know what they were going to get with Burner being out for the Pilots. Right. And obviously, Ayersville was able to pull that off, and Ewers had a great game. We'll talk about that one here in a little bit. The Tenora game got a couple of us. And then the Van Wert and Shawnee game got a couple people as well, too. Yeah. So those games kind of all made the difference for the picks this last week. All right, we're going to get into some Week 10 game recaps, and we're going to start with the NWO Sports Game of the Week first, and that's none other than Columbus Grove at Lima Central Catholic. Huge game last week, and the Bulldogs pulled through with a 33-25 win. Absolutely huge win, and it helped propel Columbus Grove from 15 to the 8 seed, I believe, as well, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. But at the half, Columbus Grove was up 26-13 on Lima Central Catholic. Total offense, Grove had 253 yards with 221 passing, had 32 rushing yards. Lima Central Catholic, 370 yards, 247 passing with 123 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Columbus Grove had 1 interception, and LCC had 1 interception. Some top players from Columbus Grove, quarterback Landon Best. Get this stat line, and Tony was talking about how crazy this was, and it really is. 23 of 24 for 96%. Let me tell you, too, this is against Lima Central Catholic. This is currently the number 1 seed in Division 7 in their region. 221 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. His only incompletion was an interception, and he had 1 rushing touchdown, too. So absolutely phenomenal. The last couple of weeks, Best has been playing his best football of the season, and a lot of the Bulldogs have. So, tremendous performance out of him. And then you got guys like wide receiver Trevin Baxter. We had talked about him earlier, breaking all the records. 18 receptions, 172 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Broke all the school records in this game, and so he had a tremendous game as well. Wide receiver Gavin Barraza, 5 receptions, 49 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And then running back Brody McClure contributed 10 carries for 31 rushing yards. On the flip side, LCC quarterback Brady Parker, which I believe that's the younger brother of former quarterback Carson Parker. Yep. A lot of athleticism in that family. 16-25, good for 64%, 247 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, 14 carries for 47 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. So, really, he didn't have a bad game as well. So, solid performance from him. Wide receiver Michael Quatman, 7 receptions, 90 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. And wide receiver Lawson Flores, 6 receptions, 123 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So, guys, like I was saying earlier, there were so many computer points in this game. Columbus Grove jumped from 15 seed last week all the way up to the 8 seed in Division 7, Region 26. So, guys, thoughts on this game here?
Go ahead, Keith.
I mean, the first 3 weeks, like you heard some rumbling, what's wrong with Grove? What's wrong with Grove? We had a lot of graduations, a lot of kids who went to colleges around the local area in Indiana and whatnot. But they're playing just as well as any team in the area. As we said, that stat from Landon Best is just astonishing. He only had 1 incompletion, which was an interception.
Right.
So, and it's not like they flipped from a running team to just a passing team. But with Landon Best being out most of last year, they didn't really have a choice. And Gavin Barraza or Trent Barraza, you just handed the ball off to him last year, but this year with a healthy Best, and you can see the LC or the Columbus Grove offense and defense hitting on all cylinders so far.
And just real quick with Landon Best, last week he was 12 of 15 for 80% as well too. So
yeah,
very efficient passing the football.
Yeah, he's doing a heck of a job, and I tell you what, hats off to the coaching staff there, and they're doing a hell of a job getting these guys ready to go. I mean, it's just that like Keith said, the first 3 weeks and all the rumblings that were going on. Oh, this is Columbus Grove's down, And, sometimes when you graduate players like that, it takes a minute to figure out where the puzzle pieces fit together. And boy, have they figured it out.
It does. And last year you talk about, that offense with Barraza running the football.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much just handed the ball off to him, most of the time. So, this year they knew they were going to be more of a passing offense with the players that they had. And I think now that they've been battle tested early on, and they had a chance to kind of maybe tune some things up against some weaker teams. And they are firing on all cylinders, and it's great to see because the last probably 5-6 years. I mean, they've historically made terrific playoff runs, and they're primed to make another long playoff run this year as well.
And LCC had a couple late scores to actually make the final score a little more
did they score
respectable.
14 points in the
12
Okay.
points in the fourth quarter. So at one time it was 33-13 heading into the fourth. So.
And that's the thing with Columbus Grove. They do such a good job at jumping out early on teams. We've kind of followed them the last few weeks, especially get some of these better teams, and they jump out to, a 30, 20-plus point lead at halftime. And it's so tough to dig out of those holes, especially against a quality team like Columbus Grove. So
I'm going to have to ask Coach Schaefer. It's going to be Christmas in October again.
That's right. They got a big one this week against Bluffton.
Yep.
That'll be another tough one, another tough test.
All right.
But good going into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Playoff preview.
Let's go to the next game here. Looking at Napoleon at Fremont Ross. Napoleon won this defensive battle 7-0. At the half, the score was tied up at 0. Total offense for the game, Napoleon had 164 yards with 164 yards rushing. Fremont Ross had 170 yards with 111 rushing, 59 passing. Turnovers, Napoleon had 1 interception. Fremont Ross had 0. Some top players from Napoleon. Running back Hayden Grohl, 24 carries with 110 rushing yards, good for 4.6 yards a carry. 1 game-winning rushing touchdown with 3:16 to go in the fourth quarter. And running back George Eggers had 11 carries for 44 rushing yards. So a lot of rushing yards, a lot of defense in this game, not really much offense. A couple top players from Fremont Ross. Running back Talon Brown, 14 carries, 75 rushing yards. And quarterback Braylon Garza, 8 of 18, 44%, 59 passing yards. So, guys, thoughts on this game here? And Napoleon clinched their first conference title in quite some time.
It's been crazy. I just was watching that score. It kept 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. Like, wow. Kind of wonder what was going on. But obviously you see it now and you look at the stats. Defensive battle.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Swery and the Wildcats. I think 2012 maybe was their last
I believe so.
outright title. But they had almost a 10-minute drive in the fourth quarter to take the lead on Fremont Ross at Fremont Ross. So this was probably a playoff-like atmosphere for Napoleon. And hey, every now and then you're going to have one of those games that you just struggle to get anything cooking. And obviously this was one of those games for Napoleon. But when it counted, they put the saddles on the horse and drove down the field for the go-ahead touchdown.
I think it's just crazy to think, too, with Napoleon, they're a 2-point conversion away from being 8-1 with a win over their rival Defiance, and possibly, even sitting at, I think they're at number 4 right now, which we'll get into playoff talk later, but possibly, like a 1 or 2 seed. Like, it's incredible. The year that they've been having, it's phenomenal. Coach Swery's done a great job with those guys. And, after losing a lot of talent last year, like Rubenstein and Espinoza, and, there's a lot of big questions. They still have really good athletes in Grohl and Eggers, and they're just riding that running and rushing attack train because that's where their team's best suited is the rushing attack. And Coach Swery's really adapted the offense and the team to that. And the defense has been playing solid all year long as well. So commend Coach Swery for his efforts this year. Done a great job with the Wildcats.
Their only other loss, I believe, to Anthony Wayne.
Yeah,
I think it was 14-7.
Yep.
So
that was a close game as well too. All right, let's move on to some GMC action here. Looking at Ayersville at Antwerp. Ayersville ended up winning this one 20-15. At the half, Ayersville was up 6-0. Total offense for the game, the Pilots had 229 yards, 130 rushing with 99 passing. And the Archers had 257 with 189 passing, 68 rushing. Turnovers, a lot of turnovers in this game. The Pilots had 4 with 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. And Antwerp had 3 with 1 interception and 2 fumbles. Some top players from Ayersville. Running back Tucker Sproul, 23 carries, 56 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. The man of the hour was wide receiver Dane Ewers, 2 carries, so he got involved in the rushing attack, 40 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. He had 1 reception for 37 receiving yards. And the big play was the 87-yard kickoff return for a touchdown with 4:03 to go in the fourth to give Ayersville the lead and eventual win. Also had an interception on defense, so quality performance out of him. For the Archers, quarterback defensive back Hampton Rogie, another great performance on the Antwerp side. 17-32 passing the ball, good for 53%. 189 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He did have 1 interception. But on defense, 3 interceptions with 1 being for a touchdown. So, man was a ball hawk, and he was also dishing it out too. Wide receiver Kane Hines, 4 receptions, 75 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And running back Gabe Clevenger, 15 carries, 67 rushing yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Ayersville and Antwerp matchup?
A huge comfort behind win by Ayersville. We were kind of wondering the status of Eli Berner going in, and obviously appears that his season has ended early. But Dane Ewers, we were impressed when we saw him when we covered the Yearsville game a couple weeks ago when Sonora was over there.
Yeah.
Tall, lanky figure, very athletic. So Antwerp took the lead with just over 4 minutes to go in the ensuing kickoff. Ewers took it back for the go-ahead score. But on the flip side, Antwerp, Hampton Rogie, GMC actually has 4 quarterbacks that has 1,200 yards or more passing this year, and one of those is Hampton Rogie. So he's had a very successful year after being injured off and on last season.
The other, 3? Probably Colt Hunt from Paulding, Owen Farrell, and then Zedite from Sonora
and Rogie.
Yes. And Rogie.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we weren't sure last week what they were going to get with Burner being hurt. But hey, other kids, next man up kind of mentality. And that's exactly what happened with Ayersville. They were able to pull out the win here.
And that's interesting. You bring up that fact, Keith. You go back 5-6 years ago, and you're probably talking about that for rushers. Like you're not even bringing up.
Definitely.
GMC has historically always been kind of a smash mouth, but it's not just the GMC, but a lot of conferences have kind of deviated away from either the wing tee or the rushing attack, and now they pass the ball and go 5 wide. But kind of crazy to think about. The GMC has 4 over 1,200 yards. You said.
I think they have 4 out of the top 5 passers in the actual area.
Okay.
Wow. So.
But congrats to the Pilots and Coach Mickey. I know a big question from us, and it stumped all of us. We had Antwerp picked, and I was going to be honest. We were really impressed with Burner and his performance. And the big question mark is if he didn't play, what kind of performance we're going to get. And I like the way they utilize Dane Ewers. I probably need to get him the ball a little bit more if they can. I mean, because he's just a special player and he's a big time threat. In all 3 aspects of the game. So I think if they continue to get him involved, maybe with a couple rushes like they did. Keep trying to target him and throw him the football. I mean, he's 6'4".
Yeah, he's a
big frame, and
big
if you can lob it relatively close in his area, he's going to go up and make the catch. So, but Tucker Sproul filling in there and getting a little bit more carries than he's probably used to with Burner being out. But the Pilots are making a little bit of a run here down the stretch, which is good to see because realistically, we said they're one of the better teams that have a losing record, and they've played one of the top strength of schedules in all of Division 6 this year too. So moving on to the next game, still looking at some GMC action. We're looking at Paulding at Sonora. The Panthers won this one 36-10 at the half. Paulding took a 14-3 lead on the Rams. Total offense for the game. Paulding had 400 yards with 269 passing, 131 rushing. Sonora had 201 yards, 137 passing with 64 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Paulding had 0 and Sonora had 1. And again, like we mentioned earlier, Paulding clinched their first ever GMC title. So congratulations to them here. Just a terrific performance, and they've been having a great year as well. Some top players of note from each team. Paulding had quite a few. Quarterback Colt Hunt, 16-26, good for 62%, 233 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, had 10 carries for 58 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Wide receiver defensive back Jordan Mans, 9 receptions, 214 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. And he also had a forced fumble that prevented Sonora with a touchdown, and that was on Cooper Rabogel, running back for Sonora. He was about to bust off a 30-yard or so rushing
40-yard touchdown.
And Mans, Jordan from behind tracks him down and swipes his arm and knocks the ball free. And I think Roanhouse came up with it in the end zone. So absolutely incredible play by him. Really had a great game all night. A couple of those receptions he busted off. Should have been tackled for a tackle for loss. And he's kind of squirmed and made a couple moves. And then he showed off that track speed and was gone. But running back, linebacker Avery Cooper, 12 carries, 46 rushing yards, 12 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, played physical all night long. Linebacker Jalen Mans, again, 13 tackles, a team high, 6 TFLs, so contributing a lot on the defense. And then Blake Roanhouse had that 1 interception on defense just before the half. Also got involved in the rush game a little bit as well, too, which we hadn't seen much all year. And Sonora, quarterback Owen Farrell, 15-23, 65%, 137 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown with 1 interception. Wide receiver Dylan Shively, 6 receptions, 64 receiving yards. Wide receiver Owen Reynolds, 3 receptions, 37 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. And I also believe Josh Lee broke the season receptions mark for receivers in Sonora football history, breaking Nick Sheets' record from the late 90s. So
96.
So broke another record there too. So guys, we were all at this game with Sonora Rams Live. What were your thoughts on the Paulding at Sonora game?
This game flipped in 2 plays. I mean, we all agree. I think we'd all agree on that.
Yep.
I mean, score was 6-3. Paulding missed the extra point, and Sonora kicked the field goal, so it was 6-3. And Tenora had made a great stop there late in the second quarter, 2 minutes to go, about in the half, and then had the ball on Paulding's 40-yard line, roughly. Got a chance to go in and score, maybe take the lead, or maybe at least tie it with a field goal. Interception by Roanhouse, and he takes it back to the opposite 30, and one play or 2 plays later they scored, and that was kind of all she wrote from that point. And then to come out in the second half, and then the other play that broke the back was, Tenora was supposed to receive the ball first, so it really could have been a 14-point swing for Tenora if they had scored at the end of the half and they got the ball back. But no, Paulding comes out, does a little trickery. Squibb kicks it, and it goes off one of the Tenora guys, and Paulding recovered it and took it in for a touchdown again. So literally just boom, just like that, they're up 21-3, and that's really all she wrote. You could see the wind kind of go out of the sails at Tenora. Tenora just couldn't really get anything going. But I tell you what, man, people say that we trash talk Paulding or we don't give them enough kudos or whatever. But I'm telling you right now, Paulding's a tough team, man. I was very, very impressed getting to see him firsthand. They're bringing the wood, man. They were throwing the lumber around out there, and I really got to give it to Avery Cooper running the ball. When he was getting tackled, he was punishing people. If you're going to tackle me, you're going to get hit too. But man, those guys were just flying after the football.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Menzie and the Panthers for their first ever GMC title. But offensively, Paulding threw everything, including the kitchen sink out there.
They did.
I mean, they had all kinds of gadget plays going on. You saw Roanhouse in the backfield a couple of times, got 4 carries, which I believe was the first 4 carries he's had all year. Then later in the third quarter, I think it was, they had Roanhouse out of the backfield, which Logan called that one earlier in the game.
I said at the beginning of the game, with Roanhouse playing running back, I'm like 100% they're going to set something up later in the game and have the halfback pass to one of the Mans brothers.
And that was about 35, 40-yard completion there. Colt Hunt, give him credit. When there was nothing there, he tucked in and ran. That's his first.
Showed off his legs a little bit.
First score was actually Colt Hunt took it over the right side for, I think, 16 yards. And literally there was nobody. I think the Rams had one defender there.
Yeah.
And that was it. But Paulding defensively, you could hear the pads hitting. I mean, they were ready to play. I'm not saying Sonora wasn't ready to play, but, I mean, Paulding just played a great game from every aspect: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, you name it.
Tenora got beat up. They had several kids kind of limping off the field.
Paulding's defense is a hard hitting squad. I mean, from front to back, they're bringing the wood.
And we'll talk about this in the playoff rounds, but. Tell you what, I don't know that I want to be the team that's playing Paulding.
No,
you know what I mean? They're playing well. They played well.
And that's what I want to say, too, with Paulding. I was very impressed. That was the first time we got to watch him live this year. And, obviously everyone always talked about the strength of schedule. And, to this point, and now we're giving them rightfully so all the credit in the world because they are legit. They're a contender. They deserve all the success they're having this season,
Right.
And that's something, too, ever since Coach Menzie has taken over, that team has been built on physicality because even going back to, like when my brother was playing, he even talked, just a few years ago, how hard Paulding would hit each and every time. And like you guys said, you could hear the pads out there and just aggressive. Like there's so much aggression everywhere, not only on the defensive side, but, Avery Cooper running the ball. I mean, he was absolutely punishing people out there. But, yeah, I was very impressed with Paulding. Obviously we knew they had the athletes, but, coaching was great too. Offensively, and like he said, they threw the kitchen sink. They'd spread things out, they'd condense things down. They'd go under center a little bit. They'd run the ball. Had a lot of great play action that opened things up down the field. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was a great called game defensively. And I've been saying this a long time in high school football. Why teams don't blitz and play aggressive football? I don't know why, because most offensive lines in Northwest Ohio can't handle that pressure, and they don't know how to pick up all these blitzes and stunts. And that's exactly what Paulding did all night long. Owen Farrell was under pressure all night long. Paulding was bringing 6, 7 guys, sometimes from the edge, sometimes from inside. There's a couple plays Jalen Mans just walked right up to the line of scrimmage, and he would run through the A-gap and nearly be catching the snap in the backfield. I mean, it was so
fast.
It was incredible.
So fast.
I love the way they play it. And, they let Jalen Mans, he's their stud linebacker. They let him basically go out and be himself and go make plays. To me, he just kind of roamed around. He does. Really. He kind of roams around, and they let him play inside, outside, wherever they seem fit. And he thinks that he can go make a play. They're going to put him in that position. So, but yeah, Tenora just had a rough night. I just think offensively they struggled to get things going, and the big thing was the pass protection on the offensive line, and if they couldn't get that going, they tried going to the rushing attack with Cooper Opogel. He only finished with 32 rushing yards on the night, so they weren't getting much there either. So on offense, it's like, where do you go? So just kind of struggled in that aspect.
Yeah. It's one of those things where kind of looking back, like if that interception doesn't happen and Sonora was able to get points there, what's the rest of the game look like, right? I mean, could have been. I mean, totally flipped that game on its side.
Yeah, and I think it swung the momentum too.
Oh, yeah.
You could just see it drained the Rams. I think if they don't have those big plays, obviously it's a totally different game.
Yep.
But in the same sense, there's a reason why Paulding's making those plays, because
That's
they're well coached and they're a bunch of great athletes out there.
Yep.
So overall, good game. And like Tony said, definitely don't want to be a team matching up with Paulding in the playoffs. Last game here, we're looking at some NWOAL action, and we're looking at Evergreen at Delta. Delta won this game 50-6. At the half, Delta was up 21-6. Total offense for the game, Delta had 219 yards with 219 rushing, and Evergreen had 130 with 156 passing and negative 26 rushing. Turnovers, Delta had 0. Evergreen had 2 interceptions. Some top players from Delta, running back Marcus Nagel, 27 carries, 154 rushing yards, good for 5.7 yards per carry, and 6 rushing touchdowns, which not confirmed. I would assume that probably has to tie or maybe break the single game rushing touchdown record for Delta. Haven't had anything confirmed, but great performance out of him. Running back Vincent Martinez, 8 carries, 30 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And Dominic Sailors had 2 sacks on the defensive side. From Evergreen, quarterback Bryce Bolger, 13-28, 46%, 156 passing yards with 2 interceptions and 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Quentin Eisel, 9 receptions, 95 receiving yards, and wide receiver Will Roots, 7 receptions, 61 receiving yards. So, guys, thoughts on the Evergreen and Delta game? And this was a big game for Delta because it was a lot of computer points, because right now Delta's kind of on the outside looking in, and this is just one of the games they needed to take that next step and try to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, Delta's playoffs started last Friday night, guys. I mean, they needed this victory. Going into this, I think we all thought it would be a close game. I mean, Evergreen, I believe, was 6-2 going in.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, am I surprised Delta won? No. Coach Vickers obviously had a perfect game plan for Evergreen and their offense. Their running game is just like a hammer, nonstop hammer against the wall. Vickers going to run that option, and even when it's not successful, guess what? He's still going to run it. But congratulations to Delta. That's a huge win, and it was a much needed win. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Vickers does a nice job there. We all know that, and they had Evergreen on the heels the whole night. And you turn the ball over twice, that helps out too. Because I think AJ was talking to me one day. We were going over the stats, like how many possessions you typically get in a game, and then you start talking about turnovers, and you'll have 2 turnovers, and you're losing possessions basically. So it really plays into that a lot.
Yeah, that's something we had always talked about in college. Win the turnover battle, because I think the stats have showed, like NFL and college, that if you win the turnover battle, you're guaranteed to win like 80-something, high 80s or 90% of the time. Yeah. So if you win that, you're most likely going to win the ball game. But yeah, I thought this game, it would have maybe been a little bit closer, because we know Evergreen's pretty talented, but this game being played at home, and it looks like from the box score that Delta just dominated on the ground and just kind of had their way. But Evergreen still got a good team, and we'll talk about them here shortly. They still have a chance to get into the playoffs, but sure would have helped them last week. So I feel like last year too, I think they were in the same situation where Evergreen and Delta played late, and this game a lot was on the line for a playoff berth. And I think was that the week 10?
I think it was week 10 actually,
because I think
week. Evergreen
won, and that's what got them in. So Delta got their revenge this year, and hopefully we'll see if Delta propels into the playoffs. All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with the Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. ESN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care
and building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com.
Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. So be sure to submit your play each week. And Titan Sports offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. So we thank Titan Sports for sponsoring this segment. This week, we had some plays sent in. Not as many as we usually do, but we're also on short notice because we're filming on Sunday today. But let's take a look at some great honorable mention plays from the Northwest Ohio area.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
Have the game in hand, currently leading by 27. Pass out in the flat. Caught out there by Jordan Mann. He breaks away. 40, 50. Nobody's going to catch him. 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Jordan Mann. 75 yards. Wow.
Ankle's taped up, but he's still on the sideline.
At this point, you might as well just keep him out. Handoff up the middle. Cooper Replogo. 20, 10. He loses the ball. Fumbles the ball at the 2. Picked up by Paulding and Roanhouse. He's headed the other way. 10, 15. Steps out of bounds at about the 20-yard line.
Jordan Manns came up from behind and stripped the ball. Wow.
Replogo was heading in for a touchdown, and Manns, in a game that's 36-3, gave 110% effort to come from behind and poke that ball away. What about a 40-yard touchdown run for Replogo?
What looked to be a touchdown. Jordan Manns swipes the arm from the backside, and
as I always say, there can only be one. This week's Titan Sports Play of the Week is going to go to the Paulding Panthers and the halfback pass from Blake Roanhouse to wide receiver Jordan Manns for about a 40-yard connection. So check that play out right now.
And so they lose tonight. We'll need a lot of stuff to happen in a win next week. Fake as Roanhouse is going to throw deep. Has a man out there. Ball's up and caught by Jordan Manns. Hunt out of the backfield, flipped it back to Roanhouse, and Roanhouse threw it deep. And Jordan Manns just grabbed it out of nowhere for a huge play down to the Sonora 36-yard line.
Guys, I told you at the beginning of the game, with Roanhouse playing at running back, I bet you $1 million they were going to do something down the line of trickery, and there you have it, a halfback pass.
Now, we were all there. You guys witnessed the play and saw it in person live. So thoughts on this halfback pass for the Paulding Panthers?
You know, like you called, like we just talked earlier, Logan, you called it from the beginning. As soon as Roanhouse was in the backfield, like something was coming, and he got a good arm.
Yeah,
so he can play quarterback at any time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, threw it out. He rolled a little bit to the right, threw it on the money, right in stride to the Manns kid who made an outstanding catch, really.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't open. I mean, Sonora had good coverage. He just went up and made a play.
Yeah, that was a
Heck of a play.
huge play in the third quarter. Really kind of opened things up a little bit more. And we talked about the big plays in that game against Sonora, and that's really what opened things up and just took the life out of the Rams, entire night. So, it was a terrific play. And yeah, Roanhouse showing off his arm a little bit. I think he threw that ball about 40 yards in the air. So pretty impressive out of him. And an even better catch out of Jordan Mann. So congratulations to the Paulding Panthers and the hookup from running back Blake Roanhouse to Jordan Mann's. All right, guys, we are on to Player of the Week from Week 9, sponsored by BSN Sports. We had a lot of good players, so we'll roll through the list, and we'll kind of list who made the final cut. And these guys will talk about someone who they thought maybe should have been or could have been the Player of the Week. And then I'll announce the finalist. All right, Antwerp quarterback, defensive back, Hampton Rogie. Columbus quarterback, Landon Best. Columbus Grove wide receiver, Trevin Baxter. Paulding quarterback, Colt Hunt. Paulding wide receiver, defensive back, Jordan Mans. Delta running back, Marcus Nagel. Montpelier running back, Carter Meek. Fairview quarterback, William Zedike. And Defiance running back, Kelton Gibbs. So, guys, who was maybe a player that you were looking at for Player of the Week?
For me, I was impressed by Landon Best. I mean, you go 23 of 24, 221 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he never threw a ball on the ground. I mean, the one ball he missed was picked off. So, to me, that's just incredible. Plus, he had a rushing touchdown to go with that. So, just an incredible night by him.
For me, I chose Defiance's Kelton Gibbs, another workhorse night for Gibbs. 20 carries, 232 yards, 2 more scores. I believe in the last 4 weeks, guys, he has just over 100 carries, and I know he's close to 1,000. I'm just specifically talking about a 4-week period where he probably has to have just a shade under or over 1,000 yards and probably 13 touchdowns in this span. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's been on another level. And after some talking and consideration, we ended up going with a player that helped their team to a huge win on Friday night, got a lot of computer points, and they are playing some of the best football in Northwest Ohio right now. And Player of the Week is going to go to Columbus Grove wide receiver Trevin Baxter. He's been on this list a handful of times, and this week he finally gets it done. 18 receptions, 172 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and against a quality opponent in Lima Central Catholic. I mean, this was a monumental win for Columbus Grove in this season. And, he broke the single game record with 18 receptions. He's now the career leader in receptions for Columbus Grove with 103, and the single season leader in receptions with 52, and all those continue to climb as well as the season goes on. So Trevin Baxter is the Week 9 BSN Sports Player of the Week, and he will receive some NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So we want to thank sales rep Jim Garrison, Rob Held, for being great supporters of our coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. So congrats again. All right, guys. Week 10, people get so excited for this, and there is a little bit of changing this week. So we're going to see what people think and what you guys think coming up here next. So as we always say, 26 teams in the area is what we cover, and we rank them regardless of division, conference, whatever, and we're just ranking, the best teams, whether, it's considering wins, losses, quality losses, strength of schedule, kind of head-to-head matchups too, and so we're going to see what these guys think. So coming in at 26 is Swan, 25 Hicksville, 24 North Central, 23 Hilltop, 22 Wayne Trace, 21 Antwerp, 20 Ayersville. Thoughts on this group here? A little bit of changing here at the bottom half.
Yeah, a little bit of mix up, but I think you got it pretty close.
Wayne Trace actually gave Fairview a pretty good tussle there in the first half. I'm not sure what happened in the second half, but yeah, pretty accurate.
19 Bryan, 18 Wauseon, 17 Ottawa Glandorf, 16 Montpelier, and we'll save the top 15.
Yeah.
Montpelier climbing a little bit. I mean, it's still tough with Wauseon at 1-8 and Ottawa Glandorf 0-9 because they are solid. Like when you compare them to like Montpelier, who plays in the TAC, and these are teams that are playing in the NWOAL and the WBL, there's such a huge difference in competition who you're playing. So, and that's what people don't understand. People are like, well, how is Wauseon 18 and how are they should be ranked number 25? Well, Wauseon plays teams like Liberty Center and Archbold, where teams like, no offense, to Montpelier, they play teams like, North Central and Hilltop, who are towards the bottom, and some other, not as great schools from Michigan that all have losing records. So, I mean, Montpelier's playing an easier schedule. They'll have their hands full this week when they play Eden, who's a better team, and So yeah, that's kind of where I get some of those rankings from. So, but yeah, I think Montpelier rightfully so jumps up because they've been playing some solid football, and they've got 6 wins to this point. So, Number 15, Eden, 14, Tenora, 13, Edgerton, 12, Evergreen, 11, Defiance will save the top 10.
Yeah,
Looks good.
Yeah, fine.
And Edgerton's jumping Tenora this week, so
Yeah.
we'll see that those two are going to match up here in week number 10.
Yep.
Breaking the top 10 is Van Wert at 10, 9 Delta, 8 Lipsick, 7 Fairview, 6 Napoleon will save the top 5.
Yeah.
See, Napoleon dropped down out of the top 5. So
It's tough.
who'd you move in there, Logan?
Right.
Coming in at number 5 is Columbus Grove, 4 Paulding, 3 Patrick Henry, 2 Archbold, 1 Liberty Center. And it gets tough, that middle of the pack there with Columbus Grove, Napoleon, Fairview, Lipsick. I mean, Fairview and Lipsick are 8-1, Napoleon 7-2 and playing really good. But I mean, I still think that win against LCC, that holds a lot of value, especially late in the season.
I'll
So
put a little gasoline on the fire, Logan, looking ahead to next week's rankings. If Columbus Grove does beat Bluffton next week, I think Columbus Grove could move into the top 3 ahead of Patrick Henry and Paulding.
if
The only problem is Patrick Henry beat Grove.
That's true, but
we're talking
Playing
about
now.
right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And
So-
if Archbold loses to Liberty Center, and depending on how
So-
close that game is, like if it's a blowout, I mean,
Yeah.
Columbus Grove
Yep.
could possibly jump to, definitely 2 or 3. I mean,
stay tuned,
That's
everybody.
Well, the old Paulding people will be like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be 2. Come on.
That's going to ruffle some feathers there. So I don't know.
Yep.
And,
That's
maybe
interesting.
Paulding, has a dominating win, and the way things shake out, maybe, Paulding ends up at 2 or 3. I don't know. It's hard to say. You have to stay tuned for next week's podcast.
I tell you, though, you guys, the way Paulding played this past week, I think they can mix it up with some of these people.
Yeah, I think they could.
I agree.
After seeing their physicality and what they bring to the table, my only concern for Paulding is their depth.
Correct.
You look at teams like Archbold that rolls out a roster of 70 plus.
Yeah.
Liberty Center rolls out a roster of 70 plus. Patrick Henry probably has 40 to 50 players.
Yeah, you're not.
We're going to see how well Paulding holds up here down the stretch with 27 guys on their roster, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think Paulding holds a candle against like a Liberty Center who's just going to. I mean, it's going to be a physical game for a little bit, and then Liberty Center is just going to roll them.
But that concludes our power rankings. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back talking a little bit about some playoff football for who's in, who's out, and our playoff breakdown. Stay tuned.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to who's in, who's out, a little bit of a playoff breakdown here. So what we'll do is we'll break down each division and region for the 26 teams that we cover in Northwest Ohio, and we'll kind of see, who's been eliminated, who's right on the bubble, who's in, and where are they projected to kind of fall in seeding come playoff time next week. So let's start. And first, for those who don't know, the top 12 teams out of each region will make the playoffs. Top 8 seeds will get home field advantage through round 3. So that's a little bit different because you started going to a neutral site in round 3, but this year it's, you still get a host. And then the top 4 teams will get a bye first round. So that's been kind of a hot debate and topic too, to see how that plays out for teams. But we're going to start with Division 7, Region 26. Out of that division and region, North Central at 2-7 has been eliminated, and Hilltop at 3-6 has been eliminated. Antwerp currently sits at 3-6, and they're at the 21 seed in the region. Now they need a lot of help to get in. They need a win this week versus Paulding, who is currently undefeated at 9-0, and they need some help with some other teams ahead losing. It's pretty much a long shot, but there is still a little chance according to Fantastic 50. And Fantastic 50 has Antwerp projected to lose by 34 this week to Paulding. So very slim chance, but there is one if they happen to beat Paulding. And, they have some help from a lot of teams losing ahead of them. Next team, Montpelier, 6-3. They currently sit at 11 in the region. They play 7-2 Eden this week, and with a win, they could seed anywhere from 6 to 11. With a loss, they're looking at an 87% chance of making the playoffs, according to Fantastic 50, and most likely sneaking in at the final seed 12. So a win would definitely solidify a playoff appearance, but even with a loss, they could still squeak in. Fantastic 50 also has Montpelier projected to lose by 11 to Eden, with a 29% chance to match up with Gibsonburg in the first round. Eden, on the flip side, sits at 7-2. They're currently the 9 seed in the region. They play Montpelier this week, as we just said. With a win, they could seed between 5 and 11 and clinch for sure a playoff spot. Fantastic 50 has Eden at likely in the playoffs with possible 8 seed, which would give them a 50% chance to host a home game. So, with a win over Montpelier, they could be hosting some games in the playoffs, which is huge. We talk about too, if you can host a game in the playoffs with that kind of atmosphere, that can make a difference for a lot of these teams. And Fantastic 50 has Eden projected to win by 11. And Eden, if they win and make the playoffs, obviously, has a 39% chance of matching up with Edgerton first round, which would bring back a matchup early on in the season where Edgerton ended up winning that one. So that could be interesting. Columbus Grove, 6-3, sits at 8 in the region. They play 8-1 Bluffton this week at home, and that's a huge game and a rivalry, so they play them at home. With a win, they could seed 3-6. Fantastic 50 has Columbus Grove locked in for the playoffs with possibly the 5 seed and a 72% chance of hosting. Fantastic 50 also has Columbus Grove picked to beat Bluffton by 2 and a 36% chance of matching up with Ridgedale in round 1. Now, Fantastic 50 also has the Bulldogs ranked as number 1 in the region and number 3 in the entire state. So though they may not be the number 1 seed point-wise, we all know how good Columbus Grove is, and a lot of people, just haven't understood that this year, and why we maybe rank them higher throughout the season. Now, now they're starting to show off, why they, are a quality team. Edgerton sits at 6-3 for the year, and they are 7 in the region. They play 4-5 Tenora this week at home, and are actually picked to lose by 1, according to Fantastic 50. With a win, they could seed anywhere from 4 to 9. Fantastic 50 has Edgerton appearing to be locked in with the 9 seed most likely. With a win against Tenora, Fantastic 50 has a 52% chance of hosting, and Edgerton has a 34% chance of matching up with Eden in first round. So if they end up winning this game against Tenora. So, if Edgerton beats Tenora, they've already been kind of locked in for the playoffs, but it's a win, they host, a win or a loss, and they don't host. Lipsick sits at 8-1. They're currently the 3 seed in the region. They play 5-4 Ada at home this week and is projected to win by 31, according to Fantastic 50. With a win, could be seeded 1-5. And Fantastic 50 has Lipsick locked in with hosting and a 99% chance of a bye with a win, most likely a 3 seed. And Lipsick has a 37% chance of matching up with Gibsonburg in the second round. So the Vikings are looking pretty solid there and a good start in the playoffs. So, guys, let's see. Let's go ahead and break things down there. So just talk a little bit about, any thoughts that you have. And that pretty much is all of Division 7 Region 26.
I just want to jump in with Lipsick right away. They're playing 5-4 at Ada. They're projected to win by 31, but didn't Ada almost knock off Marion Local? Wasn't that one of the teams that played Marion Local tough?
I don't think it wasn't Ada. St. Henry played them tough. Anna played them. Are you thinking Anna?
Maybe it's Anna. I was thinking it was
a little
Ada.
bit of a difference.
I was going to say, different team. I was going to say, was it
between Ada and Anna.
Anna. Okay. I was going to say, because that can't be right. Because, But anyways, I think, looking through these, Columbus Grove, I think has the biggest, in my opinion, probably has the greatest chance of movement. With the win against Bluffton, can really help them out, get up there in the top 4 maybe, and host in those games. And I mean, if they jump all the way to the top 4, they're sitting at 8 right now. They jump into the top 4, then they don't play, right? They get to bye. So it could be huge.
Right.
It could be huge for them.
Yeah, absolutely. This is an intriguing, really is. Columbus Grove, it's one of those things with Coach Schaefer. Do you want to continue to play as well as you're playing?
Right.
Or does a week off,
we've talked about that, right?
That's
a week off. How does that affect it? And
if I'm playing as well as I'm playing right now, as the Bulldogs are, I really don't want to mess with anything up.
Man, I agree.
Just keep rolling.
But you don't want to throw the game, right? Because then you end up falling down and you end up matching up against somebody who maybe you don't want to match up against. You got to look at the schedule.
Oh, there's no way Grove's going to lose to Bluff.
No.
That game means a lot.
And this is just for the conference, right, as well. I believe. So
well, they've already clinched, but this would be for out. This would be outright if they
right. So. But Edgerton, if you're the Bulldogs, you'd like to, defeat Sonora and obviously have a home game. But as Coach said, Lipsick is another one of those teams to keep an eye out for. So
Lipsick could be too. They're sitting at 3, so they're looking at so they win. They're going to be hosting, have a first round bye, and we'll see. We talk about it, but we'll see next year. We'll kind of talk about this a little bit after the fact. How that first round? We'll have to keep an eye on who wins and who loses that had to bye.
Well, we know for the college playoffs, it didn't pay off very well.
No, it didn't.
Because all the schools that had byes ended up losing pretty soon. So, but for me, I think just the big takeaway is, I look forward to if, Eden wins and things play out, is Eden and Edgerton match up first round. That's going to be a good game. And, it's always tough to beat a team twice in a season. So, that'd be a great matchup to see early on in the playoffs. Next, Region 22, looking at some teams that we covered that have been eliminated from playoff contention are Hicksville at 1-8, Ayersville at 2-7, and Wayne Trace at 2-7. So looking at the next team up is Tenora, sitting at 4-5 in the 17 seed right now. They're in a must-win situation to get into the playoffs. With a win, they could seed anywhere from 12, and even with a win, not even make it. They currently play 6-3 Edgerton this week and is projected by Fantastic 50 to win by 1. Fantastic 50 gives Tenora a 29% chance in with a win for the playoffs, and most likely first round matchup, if they happen to get in, would be with Fairview at a 54% chance, which that would be an interesting first round matchup. But Tenora needs a lot of help, so they need to win this week, and they also need Lakota, Huron, Crestview, Evergreen, and Van Buren to lose to help their cause. So Tenora is definitely on the outside looking in and needs a lot of help to get in. Evergreen sit at 6-3 and 13 in the region. They concede 7 on out with a win. They play 7-2 Patrick Henry at home this week, and they're projected to lose by 27 according to Fantastic 50. And Fantastic 50 gives Evergreen a 22% chance of getting into the playoffs. So it's a must-win, similar to like what Tenora's in, but a little bit closer, being at the 13 seed right now. But it's a must-win versus Patrick Henry to get in, and their most likely first-round matchup would be with Fairview with a win at 51%. Patrick Henry sits at 7-2, and this is surprising. They sit as the 11 seed, and with a win, they could seed anywhere from 4 to 11. They play 6-3 Evergreen, which we just talked about, and they appear to be locked in with a 95% chance to host with a win. So there's a lot of points there to get from Evergreen, and the 55% chance to match up with Woodmore in round 1. The Fairview Apaches at 8-1 sit as the 6th seed. They play 1-8 Hicksville this week and are projected to win by 45, according to Fantastic 50. They have clinched the playoffs, and they concede anywhere from 4 to 8 with a win. They're most likely to be the 5 seed, according to Fantastic 50, and will be hosting a playoff game. So that's a huge win there for the Apaches. They currently are at 28% chance of playing Seneca East in round 1 with a win. Paulding, 9-0, sits as the 4 seed. They play 3-6 Antwerp this week and are projected to win by 34 points. They have clinched a playoff spot and concede 3-6 with a win. They're most likely to be a 4 seed, according to Fantastic 50, and will be hosting, and they even have a 54% chance of a bye, which could be huge for the Panthers with that limited roster that they have. But they're most likely to match up with Fairview in round 2 with a 50% chance. And I tell you what, we talked about the Eden-Edgerton matchup, from regular season. This would be a heck of a game to go to.
Was a heck of a game already.
2, yes. And it'd be a total rematch, at the same site, too, at Paulding for round 2 matchup. So that would be pretty exciting. The last team out of our coverage area in this region in Division 6 is Archbold. The Blue Streaks sit at 8-1 and sit as the 1 seed. They play 9-0 Liberty Center this week, and this game holds a lot of value because they're playing for the NWOAL title, but they're projected to lose by 25 according to Fantastic 50. They have clinched a playoff spot and a home host with a bye as well. They're most likely to fall to the 3 seed. 37% chance to match up with Bluffton in round 2. So, guys, thoughts on the Division 6 Region 22 breakdown?
No, we just mentioned that Paulding Fairview matchup would be an awesome game to be at. But no, I think Sonora's out. I mean, it's just Evergreen. You never know what's going to happen there with PH, but they're projected to lose. They need all those teams to lose to get in.
Who's that? With
Sonora?
Yeah,
they all have to lose. Yeah,
pretty much.
So they're probably
which
done.
Some of them are looking like they might lose because they're playing some tougher opponents, but they pretty much need all of them to lose just because they're sitting at 17 right now, and they'd have to jump 5 spots. So. Yeah,
I just don't think. I mean, being honest, Sonora, they're going to get in, and it's probably not going to go well for them. But the PH Fairview got a lot of good teams sitting here. It'll be neat to see them get in.
Yeah, for the Rams, I think it'll be the first time since 2019 that they'll miss the playoffs.
I believe so.
So I mean, that's a nice string, but tough slate there for Evergreen. And Patrick Henry, guys, has really been in like that 10 to 12, 13 area for probably about the last month. They just can't seem to get any computer points. But Archibald, looking at them down there, 8-1. Hopefully, Coach Dominic, you just want to get out of this game Friday night with minimal injuries. If you have a first round home game and the streaks could get on a roll, win a couple playoff games. So.
I think a couple big takeaways for me is just Paulding. I think that bye, I know we talked about, whether that bye is going to hurt teams or not. Well, in Paulding's case with their limited roster, I think health and attrition, down the stretch is going to be what really helps those guys out. So I think the bye is going to be absolutely huge for the Panthers if they can secure that. And then the other thing is, too, with Patrick Henry, they're looking to be possibly the 7 seed if things play out, which for them being 7, they could very well be a top 4 seed easily.
Yep.
So definitely don't want to be playing the Patriots in the playoffs because, even if they have to travel, they're still going to be a tough out in the tournament.
Definitely.
Looking at Division 5, Region 18, Swan at 0-8. They've been eliminated from playoff contention. Delta sits at 5-4 in the 13 seed in the region. They concede anywhere from 11 on out with a win. They play away this week at 2-7 Bryan, and they're projected to win by 31 according to Fantastic 50. And Fantastic 50 actually has Delta ranked as the 6th best team in this region. That's what we were kind of talking about too, is though the computer points may not show it, some of these teams are much better than what they're actually seeding. With a win, Delta has a 59% chance of getting in with the 12 seed is most likely. And they'll most likely match up with Edison with a 36% chance in round 1. So they need a win, and they need a little bit of a help, too. They need Port Clinton and Keystone to lose this week to help their chances. So I believe I kind of briefly looked at Port Clinton and Keystone, and I think one of the teams, they play a little bit tougher opponent, so there's a good chance that one of those could drop. So Delta's literally right on the bubble, and they definitely need a win, and they need a little bit of help as well. Liberty Center at 9-0. They sit as the 1 seed, projected as the 1 seed with a home and bye berth, according to Fantastic 50. They play away at Archbold for the NWOAL title, as we referred to earlier when we covered Archbold. They're projected to win by 25. They're most likely to play Oak Harbor in the second round with a 43% chance. And Liberty Center knows Oak Harbor very well in the playoffs, as they've played them, I feel like, every single year.
Like
so, guys, thoughts on Division 5, Region 18? Only really 2 teams we're looking at in Delta and Liberty Center.
Yeah, hopefully Delta can get in. It's should get in with a win, but you never know. Liberty Center, like we've talked, 9-0. They're rolling right now. I just did some quick math. They're outscoring their opponents 457-34 with 5 shutouts, and 34 of those points 14 and went to Eastwood. So they're rolling. So they're gonna have a first round bye.
Yeah, for me, like Logan said, Delta's one of those teams that if they do get in, I don't think you want to see them on your line.
No, they're a team you do not want to mess around.
They could easily win a game or two in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think the big takeaway from this is first and foremost, hopefully Delta gets in. They're very deserving to be a playoff team because you look at their losses; they've been against some really good teams. Yep. Fairview, Archbold. I'm trying to think who else their losses are on one
Liberty
hand.
Center.
Liberty Center. So those are quality opponents right there. So hopefully they get in. And Liberty Center, though, like I said before in a couple of podcasts, to play a home playoff game at Liberty Center, do you know what that environment's going to be like? It's going to be unreal. But someone say real quick, the lights that they have, they're not allowed to do that if they host a home game?
I don't believe so because
it gives them a
It's supposed to be as a neutral site.
Well, but here's my thing, and I don't. I'm going to speak up because the playoff system, that's the whole point of getting home field advantage.
I was just about to say
you know what I mean? If you're playing at home, that's the reason you want to play at home.
Yep.
So, I can't play my lights. Screw that. Play your lights.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's one thing I wanted to bring up because I was going to say, if you earn that home playoff and you earn a bye and stuff, then, whatever comes along with it, you should still be able to do.
Absolutely right. That's why we're playing at home.
They've been playing those lights all year long and, the music and stuff, it should be able to be played the same in the playoffs.
The run out should be the same. The touchdown, everything should be the same. That's the whole point of playing at home. You see, you don't do that in college. They don't, it's a neutral site. I don't care.
Yep.
That's wrong, OHSAA.
Okay, moving on to the next one. We just have a couple teams left. Looking at Division 4, Region 14. So out of our coverage area, Ottawa-Glandorf sits at 0-9, Wauseon 1-8, Bryan 2-7 have all been eliminated from playoffs. Van Wert sits at 4-5 in the 15 seed. They concede anywhere from 11 on out with a win. They play home against a 1-8 Kenton and is projected to win by 22 points. Fantastic 50 actually has Van Wert ranked as the 7th best team in this region. But right now, they're kind of on the bubble of even making the playoffs. According to Fantastic 50, they have a 1% chance to get in, and they need a win for any chance. And they also need Clyde, Clearview, and Benjamin Logan to lose this week. So they pretty much need a miracle. But it's crazy. Again, Fantastic 50 has them ranked as the 7th best team, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. So just crazy to see how, computer points play out. And then Napoleon, at 7-2, they sit as the 4 seed currently. They have clinched a top 8 spot, so they'll be hosting, and they're most likely to receive a bye as well. They concede anywhere from 2-4 with a win, and they play home against a 4-5 weight team, and they're projected to win by 40 points, according to Fantastic 50. They're projected to be the number 3 seed with a win, and get this, most likely second-round opponent would be Sandusky Perkins with a 48% chance, according to Fantastic 50. And if you guys remember, that was the regional final matchup last year, and Sandusky Perkins made it all the way to the state championship game and ended up losing, but could possibly see an early rematch from last year's regional final matchup. So, guys, thoughts on Division 4, Region 14? Just 2 teams out of our coverage area looking like contenders.
It's too bad for Van Wert, as you said, Logan. They're definitely one of the best teams in, that region, just for a reason. Points are points, and they didn't get enough wins. So, but Napoleon again. Kind of like Columbus Grove, if you get in that top 4, you get a bye, you sit out a week, and as good as the Cats are playing, you want 2 weeks away from competition. So.
Yeah, Napoleon, they're doing fantastic right now, playing well. Hopefully they get that bye.
And then the last division and region we have is Division 3, Region 10, and we're looking at only one team from our coverage area, and that's Defiance. They currently sit at 4-5 in the 13 seed. They concede anywhere from 10 on out with a win. They play away this week against a 3-6 Salina and is projected to lose by 2, according to Fantastic 50. So Defiance needs a win, and if they win, they have a 49% chance to get in. So really a coin flip. Most likely first-round opponent is Lexington with a 31% chance, according to Fantastic 50. So, guys, thoughts on the Bulldogs? We've kind of seen some ups and downs all season long. That rushing attack is solid, but, they definitely need a win, and they need maybe a little bit of help, too, from some other people losing.
Yeah, it's all we can do is hope for the Bulldogs, but it's not looking good. You just had a little rough stretch there, middle part of the season, and now you look back on it, just wish you had one of those wins now. But Friday night, control your own destiny, win, and scoreboard watch afterwards, I guess.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. You just take care of what you can control, win your game, and then see what else happens.
Yep. So if they win, the only two teams ahead of them, Ontario sits at 12, right above them, and they play home against a 3-6 River Valley school. So just kind of looking face value, looks like they might win. But then the 11th seed, 5-4 Maumee, they play home against a 7-2 Eastwood, which we know Eastwood is really good. And all those teams are separated by less than half a point. So if Maumee loses to Eastwood, I mean, Maumee essentially controls their own destiny. If Maumee wins and Defiance gets out, same with Ontario. So Defiance definitely needs Maumee and Ontario to lose to get in. So there is a decent chance for the Bulldogs. All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with the Hot Takes presented by BSN Sports.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at battandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to the Hot Takes presented by BSN Sports. So again, these are submitted each week. This week we're not doing as many just because we covered a little bit of a playoff talk, but we just got a couple here we'll talk about for just a short period of time. First one is great season for Paulding, but they're going to run into an entire different group of animals when playoffs start. Now, we've talked about Paulding a lot this podcast. Saw them play last Friday. Talked about playoffs. They're sitting pretty well. They're projected to get a bye. But I'm going to say this. I'll kick things off. I am fully convinced on Paulding this season. At first, I think a lot of us may have doubted them just because of the strength of schedule. But after seeing them in person and the physicality they play with, I think they can hang with some of the best of them in the region. Personally, that's what my thoughts are. I think the big thing is if they can stay healthy, it's going to determine how long their run is. With only having 27 guys, that's pretty slim. But if they stay healthy and they continue to play the brand of football that they're playing right now, they're firing on all cylinders. Again, one of the hotter teams in the area. And they're just very dynamic on offense. If the pass game's not there, they can run it with Avery Cooper. If the run game's not there, they're going to sling it out, and Colt Hunt's going to get it to the Mans brothers or
even Blake Roanhouse. In defense, they're just very fundamentally sound. They're going to bring pressure, and they're going to make the quarterback struggle. So for me, I don't think this is true. I mean, I think Paulding's going to hang with them this year, just a matter of health and how long they can last.
For me, boy, Paulding is good. They're very talented on offense. Their defense, they'll run through a brick wall. I mean, they have shown that in the past. You hear the pads from a mile away when Paulding's on defense, they're going to hit you hard. What I think we talked about a couple times off camera and maybe on camera once, but their lack of depth, I think, some point down the road, I think is going to come up and bite them, unfortunately. They only dressed 27 kids, and obviously most of those kids, if not all, go both ways.
Yep.
And you run into somebody in the second round, third round, like Archibald or Bluffton, somebody like that. I mean, that's a lot to overcome.
Yeah, where you're dressing 50, 60 kids.
Yeah, I should clarify. I don't project them winning the region, but I think they'll win a handful of playoff games.
Yeah, I think they definitely got the talent to win some games, in the playoffs. It just depends on matchup, depends on where they end up, where they're going to get seeded, where everybody else gets seeded. You don't know that until after week 10's done because everybody wins, loses, and then everything moves around, shuffles. But I think Paulding, I think they definitely can win a couple games for sure, and then as they get deeper into the playoff run, it's going to get harder and harder.
Yeah, and you just look real quick. Some of the top teams, you got Archibald, Margaretta, who's at 8-1, currently the 2 seed. Hopewell Loudon, which is always a staple in the playoffs. Right. So, I mean, some of these teams have been in the playoffs and consistently. Bluffton, they made it to the Final Four last year. They're sitting at the 5 seed.
And you got Patrick Henry down there as well.
I
mean, they could actually match up somehow.
This region is pretty loaded. After looking at them all, this is a pretty strong region from top to bottom. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Yeah, but Paulding, we've talked about the respect and schedule and all of that stuff. This is it. This is your chance, right? You want to get in and make a statement, then get in and beat some of these teams that we've been saying are probably a little bit better than them, that are ranked higher than them in our power rankings. Here's your chance to make a statement, but you're also going to be running up against teams like Bluffton, Hopewell Loudon, teams like that, like you just mentioned, that have been there before. It's been a while since Paulding's been there, so.
They made the playoffs for the first time, last year or the year before?
Paulding, I think they've made it last year. Last year they lose to Bluffton. Then maybe the year before they possibly snuck in.
Yeah, so
but I think
finally win some games in the playoffs.
Exactly.
That's
what I mean.
The next step Paulding's looking for.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Paulding, they're in one of the tougher regions in the state of Ohio.
Right.
I'm going to guess it's probably top 6 overall, I'm going to guess, once everything gets settled in. But could they win a couple games? Possibly, yes.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're going to bow out to anyone. I mean, they're not going to go down without a fight, but I think it's just a matter of, guys being healthy if that catches up to them, the injury plague. So, and then the last hot take, again, we're just doing a couple just because we covered playoffs pretty in depth. But what team outside of Liberty Center has the best chance to make the deepest playoff run? Doesn't have to be real long, but maybe just name the team and a couple points. I can start. For me, and I already talked to AJ too, I think it's Columbus Grove. I mean, you look at that region, Division 7, Region 26. Columbus Grove sits as the 8 seed, but the 1 seed is Lima Central Catholic, and they just beat them. And this week, they play Bluffton, a very good team. Columbus Grove's been battle-tested more than any of these other teams. And, even Drew Pastor's Fantastic 50 has them ranked as the number 1 team. So, I mean, as long as they stay healthy again, and they don't have any injuries, unfortunately they lost Best, last year. If he stays healthy and Baxter and Barraza and, the younger Baxter too, and Basinger, all those guys stay healthy, I think they make a deep playoff run. And, really, I mean, the way this region plays out, they have a really good chance at making it to the Final Four again.
Yeah. They do.
That's for me. Columbus Grove is, I think, who has the best chance to make it deepest besides Liberty Center.
I think that was my choice, was going there. But the other one that kind of stands out a little bit is Napoleon.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they got a great shot of making it back to the regional final, and then see where they can go from there. But I think they have an absolutely great chance of making it that far, and then chips fall where they may.
Right. I mean, Archibald's in the same situation as Paulding. They're in that tough D6, Region 22. Fairview, same thing. It's like all the teams we talk about are all clumped up in the same region. So, Yeah, Columbus Grove, I think, as Coach said, and then Paulding, which again, you don't know how it was like George Eggers 100% healthy still. Doesn't seem like he is. So if if Napoleon were to get that bye week, that would give George, basically 12 days to get some rehab in and heal 100%, or as close to 100% as he can. But yeah, for me, I would say that the Dogs from Columbus Grove probably have the best chance. And again, Patrick Henry, you always think about the Patriots, but again, look at where they're at. Mm-hmm. They're in that same tough region with everybody else that we just talked about.
Division 6, Region 22. That's going to be a gauntlet this year.
I mean,
yeah, no, I think Columbus Grove, I liked your point of Napoleon. It's just that Shelby looks pretty solid. I mean, they're kind of leaps and bounds above everyone else in terms of points. They sit at 9-0, so it's just a matter if they can get ahead. If Napoleon would be able to match up with a team like that. But I think Napoleon, definitely could make a deep playoff run. They've showed that they could run the ball. And
last year they won, 3 games?
Yeah,
so.
and they've been solid in the playoffs the last couple of years. So I totally agree. But other than that concludes our hot takes section. So continue to send those in each week, and we thank BSN Sports for sponsoring that. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with our Week 10 game predictions.
Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. We have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Reader's Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well.
Welcome back. We are on to Week 10 game predictions. So we've got a lot of good games on the slate. A lot of these teams are do or die, and they need to win this week to get into the playoffs. So there's a lot on the line. First game we're going to start with is North Central 2-7 at Hilltop 3-6. So Hilltop and North Central, they were able to get a couple wins this season. Both kind of having up and down seasons, but I think with this matchup, I like the Cadets. They really kind of found their groove with that rushing attack. North Central, even last week against Montpelier, they developed a rushing attack too. So I think you see a lot of points in this game. Defenses maybe not quite where they want to be, but I think the Cadets pull this one off at home, and they win by a couple scores.
I got Hilltop as well, Logan. I mean, for the first time in a while, Hilltop could chalk up 4 wins in a season. Good for them.
Hilltop for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had Hilltop. Next game, we're looking at some GMC action. Antwerp 3-6 at Paulding 9-0. This game being at Paulding is going to be a tough uphill climb for Antwerp. And as we mentioned earlier, the Archers need a win for the long shot that they have in playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. Antwerp's coming off a loss to Ayersville. This game's on the road at Paulding. The only shot that Antwerp has, if Paulding is kind of, eases up a little bit because they know they've already clinched the GMC title, but I don't foresee that. I think Paulding wins big. I think it's a running clock. Give me the Panthers.
Yeah, Coach Hale and the boys are going to, they're going to come out and play 100%, but I think Paulding wins this one big as well.
I think the long drive from Antwerp to Paulding is going to do Antwerp in, so I'm going with Paulding.
And AJ and Matthew both had Paulding as well. Next game, Wayne Trace 2-7 at Ayersville 2-7. One of the more intriguing matchups probably on this list. Wayne Trace, like Keith had said earlier, gave Fairview a little bit of a run for their money in the first half. Last couple of years, Wayne Trace seemed to play Fairview tough. Ayersville's coming off a win against Antwerp, gets their second win of the season. And I think for this game, it's at Ayersville. I think Ayersville has just enough to get it done. I like the way they're incorporating Ewers into the game plan. It's not the greatest that they don't have Berner in there because he was a huge part of that team, but I like the Pilots and Coach Mickey in this one. I think they win by 14. I think it's close.
I got the Ayersville Pilots as well.
I went with Wayne Trace, guys. I think Wayne Trace has been sniffing around with the win column, and I think they're going to get one this week.
And AJ had Wayne Trace, and Matthew had Ayersville, so we're pretty split on that game. Next game, Tenora 4-5 at Edgerton 6-3, and we'll be there live with Tenorams Live. But this one, again, another tough matchup. Anytime you go into Edgerton, that's a tough place to win. It's one of our favorite places to go to. It's just a great venue. Kind of got that hill, kind of like Clemson has.
Awesome.
So it's a great environment to go watch a football game. No track. We're big no track guys, so we'll be close to the action. But Tenora's coming off a tough loss to Paulding. Edgerton's coming off a win to Hicksville. I just think in this one, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close, and it's going to come down to the fourth quarter. But, Tenora's just kind of had a little bit of a rough year. I mean, they need a long stretch. They need a win to have any kind of contention for playoffs, whereas Edgerton, I think this game might mean a little bit more because if they win, they get home field advantage. So there's a little bit more on the table for sure for the Bulldogs. I think Edgerton wins and squeaks this one out, but I think they only win by a touchdown.
I think for the first time all year, guys, the Rams established the run, and Cooper Replogle runs for over 200 yards, and the Rams come out of Edgerton with a win.
I'm going with the Rams as well, Keith, for the exact same reason. I think the Rams can establish a run game against Edgerton, and if they can do that, they're going to take one home.
And AJ had Tenora, and Matthew had Edgerton, so we're pretty split on that game. Next game, Hicksville 1-8 at Fairview 8-1. Two teams that have been totally different ends of the spectrum this season. Flip-flopped records there too, but Fairview's playing some great football. From what I've heard from some people, they would like to see a Fairview and Paulding matchup again because they said Fairview has just been playing really, really well. Just a couple weeks ago, they blew out Edgerton, which everyone was kind of thinking that game would be close, but Will Zedike is playing well, Logan Olinger, Gavin Mead, all the receiving core is playing solid. I'm taking Coach Rakes and the boys with Fairview. I think they win huge with the running clock, 40-plus points.
Yeah, I got Fairview as well, guys. I don't know if we talked about it, which I don't think we did. I think I saw Logan Olinger went over 3,000 career receiving yards.
Oh, did he really?
Last Friday, so congratulations to him. But Fairview big here.
Fairview for me.
And AJ and Matthew had Fairview. Next game, looking at NWOAL action, huge game. Liberty Center 9-0 at Archbold 8-1. This game's for the NWOAL title. A lot of computer points on the line too, though both these teams are going to probably finish towards the top seeds in their regions. But I think honestly, Archbold's probably the only team this year that's going to give somewhat of a shot against Liberty Center. Archbold's got a lot of weapons, and Maddox Pinter, Aranger Krieger, Morgan Harris on the receiving core, Anderson Bentley has been playing solid at H-back all year long. And on defense, they got a couple of good ball hawks as well. But when you play Liberty Center, you got to play a physical brand of football. And I'm not sure Archbold's just there yet to match that intensity and physicality. But I'm going to take Liberty Center. I think Liberty Center wins by 21 or 24 points.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Dominic's going to have the streaks prepared for the game. It's just the talent level and the intensity and the energy that Liberty Center is going to bring, I think, is too much. Home game for Archbold, but should be a fantastic atmosphere. I mean, this place is going to be booming.
Going to be packed.
But I'm taking the Tigers.
Tigers for me.
And AJ and Matthew have Liberty Center as well. Next game, Delta 5-4 at Bryan 2-7. Delta coming off a big win against Evergreen. I think Marcus Nagel runs for another 200-yard-plus game and another 5-6 rushing touchdowns. I think this one's a blowout again. The Panthers are playing solid, and again, they need this win to help, try to get them into the playoffs. So give me Delta.
Panthers for me.
Delta for me.
And AJ and Matthew had Delta as well, so Delta from everyone. Next game, Patrick Henry 7-2 at Evergreen 6-3. This game has some worth for both teams. For Patrick Henry, if they win, they get seeded a little bit higher. For Evergreen, this is a do or die if they get into the playoffs. So This game being played at Evergreen, it plays into their hands and advantage a little bit. But Patrick Henry, I know they're 7-2, but that's a quality football team there. They played Liberty Center tough. Rosebrook has played solid at quarterback all year long. I believe Krieger's finally healthy at wide receiver. I just think Patrick Henry's going to get things done, especially when Evergreen likes to throw the ball, and you got guys like Grant Smith who's breaking all kinds of sack and tackles records for the program. I think they just put too much pressure on the Vikings. I think Patrick Henry wins by 28.
I think you're right, Logan. Patrick Henry goes into Evergreen and comes out with a huge win. Patriots for me.
PH for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had PH. Next game, Swanton 0-9 at Wauseon 1-8. Swanton, again, continues to struggle. They're in a rebuilding year. They've got a lot of young kids playing. Wauseon, they need to get this win just to put them at 2 for the season and end on a high note. But, also, too, with Wauseon, just to start, maybe trying to rebuild for the next year. And, they've got some good athletes. It's just that, maybe a more disappointing year than what they had anticipated. But I think the Indians win this one. I think they win big. I think running clock.
Yep, Wauseon takes this one big.
Yeah, go Indians.
And AJ and Matthew both had Wauseon as well. Next game, Montpelier 6-3 at Eden 7-2. This is a good tack matchup here. But this game being played at Eden, Montpelier's been playing some good football lately, but I just don't know if they have just enough to get past Eden and the Bombers. Eden's had their number for probably the last, 5-6 years. I'm not sure when the last time Montpelier beat Eden has been, but it's been a long time. So, for that, it's kind of hard to get over that hump, but I'm going Eden.
Yes, Bombers for me.
I want to take the Locos, but Eden's playing at home, so I'm going with Bombers.
And AJ and Matthew both had Eden. Next game is going to be our NWO Sports Game of the Week and our radio coverage Game of the Week. So be sure to tune in on that on YouTube and Network One Sports. And that is none other than Bluffton 8-1 at Columbus Grove 6-3. So again, another huge game. If Columbus Grove wins this game, could definitely propel them into possibly a bye. This game means a lot for both these teams. We know how much it means for Columbus Grove. I mean, there's a lot of intensity and physicality that is going to be in this game. With all that being said, I know Bluffton's got a really good team. I think Columbus Grove gets it done. They've got 25 conference wins in a row. I think this one's going to be number 26. This game's played at home, and I believe this is probably the big game on the calendar out of the year that Columbus Grove always circles. Yep. And I think Coach Schaefer and the boys get it done.
Yeah, for those not from around the area that tune into the podcast, this is like Defiance, Napoleon, Sonora, Ayersville, but maybe with a little extra spice added in there.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
A little extra seasoning.
But, the Bulldogs are just playing fantastic, so I'm taking the Dogs.
I'm going with the Dogs as well.
And AJ and Matthew both had Columbus Grove. And even Matthew had Columbus Grove this week.
Whoa,
so something's going on there.
Oh, geez.
Next game, Ada 5-4 at Lipsick 8-1. Lipsick, one of the top seeds in Division 7 in their respective region. I think the Vikings win this game big. I think they're projected to win by a bunch in Fantastic 50. I think Kirkendall and Williams and Paris take care of business and light up the scoreboard in this one. I think it's a running clock. Give me the Vikings.
Vikings big.
Vikings.
And AJ and Matthew both had Lipsick. Next game, Defiance 4-5 at Salina 3-6. With this game, Defiance has a lot to play for. If they get a win and a little bit of help from a loss from Maumee, Defiance could very well sneak in at that 12 seed. So, I'm sure Coach Rittenauer's got the boys wound up and they're ready to go. Kelton Gibbs, I think this may be one of his biggest games of the year. I mean, like Keith said, over the last span of 3 to 4 weeks, I mean, he's probably rushed close to 1,000 yards and probably,
definitely,
8 or 10 touchdowns. I mean, probably more than 10. I mean, he had a couple games with like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
so
in the teens for sure.
Gibbs has been on another level. So I think if Defiance sticks to the game plan, they run the football and they just run it down Salina's throat, I think there's no stopping them. And I think Defiance wins this game and possibly gets into the playoffs.
It would be great to see, Logan, if Defiance would sneak in the playoffs. I'm taking Defiance.
Bulldogs for me.
And AJ picked Salina going against the grain there, and Matthew picked Defiance. So we'll see who pays off in that game. Next game, Lima Shawnee 6-3 at Ottawa Glandorf 0-9. Shawnee has been tearing things up this year. I have a lot of quality wins, and then they sit, I think, at the 3 or 4 seed in their region and division. Otto Glandorf has had kind of a rough season, continued to slide. I think Shawnee wins this game big.
Yep, Shawnee for me too.
Yep, Shawnee here.
And AJ Matthew both had Shawnee. Next game, Kenton 1-8 at Van Wert 4-5. Van Wert just missing out, I think, on an opportunity of playoffs, but still you want to end up the year on a right note with a win and at least not have a losing season. Van Wert has a lot of talent though too. That offense is very high powered and potent. So I think for that, I think the Cougars win this one. I think they win this one by 21 points.
Yep, taking Van Wert and hoping they can sneak into the playoffs.
Cougars.
And AJ and Matthew both had Van Wert. Our last 11-man game is Toledo Waite 4-5 at Napoleon 7-2. Napoleon's riding sky high off another win. They've got, I don't know how many win streak, or how many game win streak they're on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game win streak right now. Which again, they continue to ride these win streaks at the end of the season, playing some of the better football in all of our coverage area. I think the Wildcats win this one. They're projected to win by 40. Drew Pastors, fantastic 50. I think they win probably by 50, honestly. The only thing is the running clock. It allows them to score.
Right. Cats for me.
Cats for me.
And Napoleon and Matthew both had Napoleon. A couple 8-man games here. St. Mary Central Catholic 8-1 against Holgate 4-4. Tigers going to have their hands full. I'm taking St. Mary's.
St. Mary for me.
St. Mary's for me.
And AJ and Matthew both had St. Mary Central Catholic. Next game, Waldron, Michigan 5-3 at Stryker 3-6. I think with this, we saw Stryker squeak out a win against Sebring McKinley last week. But I think Waldron comes into town. I think they take care of business.
Waldron for me.
Waldron for me.
And Matthew had Waldron, but AJ, Stryker's #1 fan, is going with Waldron this week. So we'll see how that pays off. All right, guys, that concludes our Week 10 game predictions. Closing thoughts.
It's going to get interesting this week. Got a couple big games, and really kind of interested to see the Archbold, Liberty Center game. That's going to be an interesting game. The Columbus Grove Bluffton game.
It's a good game.
That's going to be another good game. So it'll be interesting. People are fighting for the playoff berth.
Yep. For me, lots of good games in the area. Go check them out. But again, we come to this point. We do every season, Week 10. For some seniors, this will be the final time that they put on the uniform and take it off. So if you're not going to the playoffs, guys, just soak it all in that entire Friday. Time you get out of school, time you get suited up, halftime locker speech, and then post-game, just soak it all in because never get another Friday night. So,
and it's different. I mean, once you're done with football, you'll never get that opportunity again.
That's right.
And even playing in college, I played in college at Findlay, but it's still not the same as high school playing in front of your community and fans. And, it's just got a different feel and vibe to it. And, we've always talked too with some of these NFL veterans. I think Kirk Cousins always talks on it too, that, he's played in the NFL, he played at Michigan State.
Right.
He still says high school football is the greatest thing ever. And there's nothing quite like it. So
absolutely.
And we talked about the video last year where I think it was some member of the Miami Dolphins for Christmas got his teammates those high school jerseys.
Yeah.
And they were just like a kid at Christmas. So just soak it all in, guys, and enjoy every second of it.
Yep.
But other than that, get out and watch some of these schools play. But we'd like to thank all of our sponsors: BSN Sports, Bat and Stevens Body Shop, Titan Sports, Fitz and Ryder, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Crystal Fountain Park, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Remax Realty and Matt Yost, and Tenorams Live and the Drop Zone Pizzeria. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic Center for allowing us to use their office for the podcast. So stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.